Good day! Welcome to this new video. Hello and welcome to this beautiful Berlin park. We are at the Ostkreuzbahnhof, actually Treptower Park, and this is a pretty nice, cool little park in Berlin, Germany at Spree. That's the little river through Berlin, and that's a nice area here. You can hang out here in summer. That's nice. I like it here. That's a good area in Berlin. Go visit it if you're ever in Berlin. And yes, this is another vlog, and I know my vlogs get not quite the attention as some gear reviews, but this is actually a vlog and a gear review. Because I want to talk about the Lumix S1h. Recently I got the Lumix S1h in December. Now it's March. I have done some projects with the S1h, and I film currently on the S5 camera, and I made some projects with the S1h, and I want to talk about the S1h, how my experience with this camera so far. So, why have I purchased the Lumix S1h? Well, I wanted a camera which I can record unlimited in 4K or in 4K 50 or 60 FPS. I wanted a pretty good camera which doesn't overheat, which can maybe shoot more than 4K, because this camera can shoot in 6K. I wanted a full-size HDMI outlet. That was actually a huge point on why I got the Lumix S1h, and it is like basically a powerhouse of a camera, and you can charge it while recording. That's also a thing. And why have I wanted this camera in the first place? Well, that was some kind of my dream camera. I saw this camera in a commercial in 2019. This camera had a release datum in 2019, and I saw this camera and I thought, well, this camera can record in 6K. It is an amazing powerhouse of the camera, and I will be a professional filmmaker when I have this camera. That's why I wanted this camera, because I wanted to be a professional filmmaker with a huge camera. That was it. And why I wanted to be a professional filmmaker? Because I want to make some money with my business and live from my videography work. That was basically the first thing, because sometimes you have to think why you want a good camera, why you need a better camera, and is it really necessary? And for me, was this necessary? Because this camera can record unlimited. That is like kind of a necessary thing when you work in a professional working field, and the full-size HDMI is more practical for me, because you can hook it more easily in an HDMI output. And this little flimsy adapter you need with the S5, that broke 2 times, and I have now like 5 of them, because it cost like 11 euro from Amazon, from Small Rig, but it breaks. And it's good to have actually 2 cameras for some interview shoot. I needed anyway a new camera, and I thought, well, then I buy a better camera, because having 2 cameras with the same limitations makes no sense for me, and that was also a reason for me. And this is the Berlin Spree next to the huge tower. It was formerly insurance company Allianz Tower, and yes, like that's the German Berlin Spree. And yes, you can go on a boat trip with it. It's a nice spree. I would not recommend taking a dive in it so much, because yeah, maybe not the cleanest water, but that's Berlin.
Launching.
And the Lumix S1h basically saved me a job I couldn't get without this camera, because immediately after I purchased this camera, I had the question I should shoot an interview which is over an hour in 4K 50, and that was only possible with this camera. So immediately, maybe 3 days after I got this camera, had I the first job with this camera, which made me actually pretty happy. And yeah, that was fate or luck, I don't know. That was basically pretty cool. You know, I live in a big city in Berlin, and I have no car, so I vlog when I walk, I vlog when I go by train. I maybe want to purchase a car. If you can maybe recommend me a cheap, good, reliable beginner car. I thought about the Ford Fiesta or some Renault Clio, I don't know. Then maybe you can recommend me a nice car. I don't know, some car. I want to buy maybe a car in August. Let's see. And another very important reason on why I wanted to get the S1h was actually the all-intra codec. You know, the all-intra codec and long GOP are different. The all-intra codec has more megabyte per second. That means it's not so highly compressed as the long GOP codec. it produces basically the double amount of data. So that's a police car in Berlin. Polizei, halt, stop! And the all-intra codec runs in my editing software of choice, which is of course Vegas, much better than all the other codecs. The long GOP codec is okay, it saves some data, but the all-intra codec works amazing. My Vegas, I work with Vegas 19, it crashes almost like 80% less. No, it crashes 9 times less approximately than with the long GOP codec. The long GOP codec is not so ultra nice to work with. That was also one reason. And I think the S5 Mark II has not the all-intra codec, so that was also a reason for me why I got the Lumix S1h. Well, when I got the Lumix S1h, the Lumix S5 Mark II wasn't even announced yet. And of course, one reason was the price. I got the Lumix S1h used for exactly 2,350 euro, which was crazy cheap because I purchased this camera used. I am a huge fan of purchasing good things used, but from a retailer. I would not recommend buying stuff from some other people because you have no refund, you have no warranty. That's a little tricky. But oh, nice motorcycle. That's a Honda Fireblade. That's nice. Brum, 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 brum. Man, I am so excited when I can finally drive my motorcycle as well. In April, I drive a Suzuki GSX-R 1000, and from the 1st of April I can ride this thing again. Yeah, and where was I? Yes, the cheap price of the Lumix S1h, it was an offer from a retailer, was a little used product, but that was absolutely fine for me because even when the outside has some little scratches, the inside is impossible. And I use my camera as a hammer anyway, like a tool in rain, in wet conditions, and whatever. I go with this camera everywhere I need to go, so that was the reason for me. So have I felt then a difference since I got the S1h? Yes. Nice topic, but the autofocus is better. Yes, the autofocus is better in this camera, especially when you pair it with Lumix native lenses. Is the autofocus quite usable in this camera. And the 6K codec looks amazing. Vlog looks even better than the Vlog of the S5. It is because the low pass filter. That was another huge reason why I got this camera. Because the low pass filter prevents you from any moire effect when you work in a professional field. You know, I work with these things. When you're just a YouTuber or a hobbyist, you don't need a low pass filter, you don't have to care about it. But when you shoot a lot of fashion and people wear fine stripes, a suit with fine stripes or clothing, or even when they wear lace. Lace is also a thing, which has then this little moire effect and this destroys your image. In photo, in Lightroom especially, you can repair this effect, but not so much in video. And that is annoying. When you have this in video, you can get rid of it. That's pretty hard. So the low pass filter, it prevents your picture from getting destroyed, and it gives a little more softer image, and it looks better. Skin looks a bit better, and yet it looks, I don't like the term, but it looks a little bit more cinematic. That's really a term here. It looks a little bit more cinematic, a little bit softer, and not so sharpened as in the S5. And that was actually also a huge reason why I got this camera. So, and I am almost at my girlfriend's place right now, and her son has a pretty valid gaming PC, and I have to edit this video and some client videos now. So thank you for staying with me. And the last video I asked what analog camera I should get. So if you have any knowledge of analog cameras, I want to purchase an analog camera. If you can recommend me some analog camera, then please write it in the comments. See you in the next video. My name is Paul. Bye bye.